Hello guys, welcome to March question and answer session and here we have Igor Lebedev, SONM CTO, and surprise, our new just announced Chief Operations Officer Oleg Lyubimov. He's from Selectel. He's bright-minded, well-experienced man who will
I will be responsible mostly for day-to-day operations of SONM, for business development, for marketing, and for establishing good business processes and methods inside the company.
And this is basically the secret person I was telling about in the Twitter, just trying to raise awareness. So finally, Oleg is with us.
And we just announced his person in our blog, on our blog.
Just today.
Yes, and today he will handle some questions from the community that we have been collecting for 1 week in Slido and Twitter with hashtag AskSONM, and probably we should start.
Yeah,
and the first question from Slido, anonymous user. And it sounds like the value of the network depends on the number of transactions taking place. What's your outlook estimate strategy for attracting miners and customers in June?
Actually,
yeah.
I can answer this. We believe the main attractiveness of our network is profitability for both sides, for customers and for suppliers. Because for a customer, it will be much cheaper to rent resources from SONM compared to traditional cloud service providers. And for suppliers, we expect some gap between typical miners' profitability and profitability in our networks.
Okay. That's it?
Yes.
Thank you. The second question from Rob. I know him.
Yeah, we know
He's
him.
from our chat. Will Market GUI still be released this month?
As soon as we have published a new updated roadmap, this is already our third version of the roadmap, perhaps not the last one, but still, according to this new roadmap, we are planning to make two major releases. One of them would be CryptoIaaS in June, around June, and another one would be general purpose release around August, and each of these releases will have 1 month before test network release, so basically 4 key points in the time at this moment, and the graphical user interfaces updates are now bound to those points in the time. So for this month we won't release this one. The main reason behind this is that we had to change our plans according to the Ethereum situation with the gas price and the transactions prices. So we had to go for the sidechain solution, and after that we had to perform some graphical user interface for working with this solution. So you can just deposit and withdraw your tokens to and from the sidechain. So we had to change and update our plans. But still we keep the obligation to do the release not later than in August, and even we will provide a live release in June, which will be CryptoIaaS. So, but back to the question, not this month.
It's interesting to know about CryptoIaaS. It's something new that never appeared in our blog. And
yeah, we did not yet cover it is an official sources, but still I had a lot of talks about what is CryptoIaaS in our chats. I can tell more about this if you like.
I would like to hear something. I think the audience also would like.
Okay, as we discussed with Oleg and other people who are in charge of business development, we see a number of strategies for different time terms. For example, there are short time strategy and there is a long time strategy. For example, in the long time term, we are looking for fog computing, and this is something that will not happen instantly. This is a trend in the software development. And for the shorter time, we see working with sales, with enterprises to make them use SONM for the existing at this moment application. So fog computing is something new that still must be developed, but there are existing real-world applications that we will plan to attract to SONM. And even the shorter time term strategy for the June, for the summer of this year, as we see it, is a CryptoIaaS. The basic idea is that we can provide resources to handle the cryptocurrency projects, the blockchain projects, everything you know from the CoinMarketCap top 1000 or everything from the CoinMarketCap. Decentralized system to host web server, decentralized system to do some computing, some token transfer, content delivery networks, whatever systems that initially run in a decentralized manner. The reason for that is, there are two reasons for that. First, all of the projects, they ideally fit SONM as a hardware provider because they regularly don't care about privacy, about security, because all of the projects somehow handle this on their side. So what we offer in terms of our service is perfectly fine for them, because they say, okay, please contribute your hardware to our systems, and any hardware is okay. And we have that any hardware, so we'll provide. This is the first point. And the second point is that all of that projects, they are paying, you don't have to register them. You just contribute a hardware and receive the profit. So I mean that we don't need any kind of agreements to contribute our hardware to them. This is just a question of that some arbitrage bot will be monitoring the profitability and just rent resources and then deploy particular miners or particular clients on the SONM resource. So this may be automated, like fully automated. So that is the reasons for the CryptoIaaS background. And what is this for? This will allow us, back to the question about the network depends on the number of transactions. This will allow us to solve the chicken and the egg question in the short term, because we will be able to provide a constant and scalable customer for resources in SONM. Because all resources in SONM, we guarantee that they will be purchased at least for the profitability of the mining. Because if you contribute your hardware to SONM, it will be guaranteed purchased for some mining by some other persons, by some other bots, and at least you will receive that profitability. And then when we have real world applications and tasks, they will have to offer higher prices than mining has. So this is a short-term strategy that we may launch easily and make demand for some tokens. By the June, when we plan to release this CryptoIaaS version on the LiveNet, we will instantly launch this arbitrage with cryptocurrencies and make SONM as a computing power provider for many projects. And this will create a demand for some tokens, because bots will purchase some tokens and then use them to rent out resources and use that resources to contribute to projects and have earnings. So this is the idea.
And it's actually a good platform to build partnerships.
Of course.
Yeah, with crypto projects. Guys, I'm reading YouTube chat. Don't worry, I'm tracking all the questions. But here we got 4 lists of questions, and if I have the same question in YouTube chat, I may skip it or I will read it. But I will decide according to the flow of the talk. And hi man, when moon?
You just must ask the astrologist, because this is,
Yeah.
we cannot calculate this.
I think new moon was just.
I think there are special websites about the moon cycles.
Yeah. Are we dead?
Because we are not given, we just can't control this. This is not something that we are controlling. We are just doing the software. So. And
question about marketing, and like Paul Marin, asking, we need to get out more press releases to technology websites. They are open to receiving content. And I know how it works, and every big news that we releasing, we are trying to send it to biggest newspapers, and sometimes they take in it, but not all of them. That it's sad, but that not all of them taking our press releases. For example, press release about MVP was sent to the major Great Britain and USA newspapers, and some of them took it, but some of them just declined it. And we're always trying to send our big news to newspapers as first, and then announce it. Okay. When new website, guys?
This is again the same question. I mean that there is a different group of people working on this, and we have changed the product vision twice since that we started making new websites, so we had to start twice from the scratch. So I think it will be soon there, but I have already asked in this fashion. So people are working on this. We had changed and updated our product vision and the roadmap in the recent months, so we again had to start the work from the beginning in some sense.
In short, in about 2 months, I believe we will have new website.
Yeah, but just we were answering already that we are making the website before the new year.
Yeah.
So
a couple months ago, we already said that. It's like 2 months.
I don't want us to start answering each month that it will be soon, but yes, we are working on this.
Yeah, we were developing new structure of our website, and it will inform our potential customers on all sides of our business and this kind of stuff. It will be complicated. Okay.
Let's get back to our list.
Yeah, list is big. Actually, in the chat we have a question regarding this crypto EOS. And it's about when are our customers going to buy SONM tokens?
As soon as the market will be operational, and market will be operational in June in the LiveNet mode. There is no difference who will buy the tokens, either the arbitrage bots that will be renting the SONM resources to host other projects, or be that Live people or companies. There is no difference because any of them will have to have the same amounts of tokens for the same hardware. So my opinion is that it will start in June.
Yeah, like you mentioned last month, you plan on staying on the Ethereum, yes. If CryptoKitties hinders the entire Ethereum network, some supercomputer operations would collapse it.
We have already answered different times about the performance of the Ethereum sidechain, and basically there is an article in our blog about the sidechain ideas. CryptoKitties happen on the mainnet, and we are going to make some operations in the subchain, in our sidechain that is fully dedicated to SONM, so we will not be affected by kitties in any sense. In only one thing, that you have to deposit tokens to these sidechains, and this is the only operation that requires you to make a transaction on the mainnet. And this is something we can't avoid because our token is on the Ethereum mainnet. But everything else will be happening on the sidechain without any kind of cryptocurrencies like effects on our work.
And even on the sidechain, we will only make accounting of all these processes, and actual computing will be made off-chain.
Yeah, sure. So yes, as Alec mentioned, we only use sidechain to keep the transaction state, but not the computation itself.
Okay, Paul Maring proposing us to. He wants to help us with press releases. Okay, Paul, if you want to take part in our public relations strategy, you can write in our Telegram chat and identify yourself. I'm sure, just say Vitaly from Q&A said to share your contacts. Just share your contacts and we can discuss it. Okay, let's go forward.
Yeah.
Rob, requesting more information on master nodes.
We have already covered this many times in chats and perhaps even in the public. We have an article about the sidechain. There is the last two paragraphs of text about the sidechains, about the master nodes, sorry. So just please kindly read that thing. We have no news about this. So we still wait for Ethereum to deliver native sidechains, and we will see how it will be going. Just read the ending of the article.
Igor, you was in Rust, right?
Yeah.
You were. Sorry. What does SONM gain from the Cloud Insider program from Intel? Can you?
Yeah, I can. This was something new for us. Some major vendors like Hewlett Packard, like Intel, and the top companies, they are trying to make their own like catalogs of cloud providers, and they would like to use like umbrella marketing for them and other things like to do with everyone at one time. So Intel is new player to make yet another new catalog of cloud providers with some benefits for marketing and some benefits for technology updates. So for us, this was an invitation from them, and we like that we were noticed in this sense. Basically, this is more about marketing. This is not yet about some big technology integration, because Intel is delivering projects to, like their products to everyone, but still they will have some dedicated marketing campaigns for the cloud, and this is about it.
Okay, thank you. In YouTube chat we have the same question as in our list, and it's Cryptogrid asked us in Twitter.
Yeah.
What are your expectations from the Consensus 2018 conference? And in YouTube chat, how do you think the exposure of SONM at the Blockchain Expo will impact SONM? But it's different events.
Different events, but the general idea,
is,
you know.
Yes.
I will start and then perhaps you'll want to add. The general idea is that we currently have two types of conferences and events that we attend. We have one leg in the cloud conferences, because what we offer is looking like the cloud. Like the infrastructure, the service is basically a thing from the cloud. So for our customers, we look like a cloud indeed, but on the back end, we are for computing. And the second leg is in the blockchain community, because we have our token, because we have the blockchain, we use it internally, and because we can and will host blockchain-based projects. So that's because we have two types of that conference. And indeed, we have general expectations for both types of these conferences. So perhaps we will now answer about what we expect from blockchain conferences. Perhaps Oleg has some vision about this.
Anyway, we are on the really early stage of the project, even after more than half a year of the project run. So for us currently, even the general brand recognition is important, especially brand recognition across our two key areas. And these two key areas for us are cloud computing, as Igor mentioned, and crypto community, because we are looking for partners and for potential customers, potential suppliers from these two key areas, cloud computing and crypto community.
Okay, thank you. When will the D-Brain project start using the SONM platform? When?
Not sooner than we will launch the LiveNet and according to their roadmap.
Yeah, right now they are on the stage of...
But just particularly me, I don't have the roadmap at my fingers at this particular. I just don't remember about their roadmap steps. We have discussed that this would be feasible, so we are preparing everything we will do according to our roadmap would be essential and enough for them to run. So for us, we just stick to our roadmap, and when they will be ready to launch something on their project, they will use our resources. So this is generally about their roadmap. Perhaps if they need resources ahead of June, we, as I previously mentioned, we may provide those resources for the testing purposes ahead of the June, because we have some partners with the hardware willing to contribute today. So can't tell more news at this moment.
Okay, we have lots of questions about SONM as a competitor of NiceHash. It's about 4 questions, is same. Can be SONM considered as a competitor to NiceHash or other renting services? I'm asking because there will be market for computing power too. And are you planning to become a competitor of NiceHash? If such functions will exist, will it be possible to connect an ASIC miner to SONM, Bitcoin miner?
In general, SONM can be considered as a competitor to NiceHash and similar projects. This is not our main goal, because our main goal is to provide real-world cloud services based for computing. But it will be possible to use our network for mining as well as in the same manner as NiceHash, and perhaps in some, not even in some, in many situations, our service can be even more profitable compared to NiceHash. Because in NiceHash you can utilize only GPU of your computer or mining rig. In SONM you can also utilize your CPU, memory, hard drive, SSD drive, wherever.
So it's not just NiceHash, it's more complicated.
Yeah, it's higher percent of utilization of your resources from one side, and from another side potential price of these resources is potentially higher compared to NiceHash because of real-world tasks, not just mining. As for possibility to connect ASIC miners to SONM,
I think this part of question is better to Igor.
I think Oleg can handle this as well, because we have discussed it multiple times.
I believe the answer is closer to no than to yes, because with ASIC you can make only one type of computation, and it is not, nowadays, it's not suitable for any real-world tasks. Perhaps, maybe in future, a situation may be a little bit different in some situations, but I'm not sure. So currently, there is no possibility to connect ASIC to SONM.
We could work on this just to make ASICs available on the market, but this would be the question. You know, we make our market for different types of applications and payloads, and we currently just don't see any other applications for Bitcoin ASICs except the Bitcoin mining. And if we will provide ASICs on the SONM market, and they really on the practice can be used only for Bitcoin mining, so why not using it just on your own, dedicated for Bitcoin, because this would be essentially the same. There would be just no profit. We don't see any real applications usage, at least in that big demand, for just plain like hash computing that is used in the Bitcoin. So
is it so powerful to this ASIC?
In solving hashes, it's really powerful. It's
just for this.
It's times more powerful than even GPU.
Times.
But it can do only this, nothing else.
Perhaps tens of times.
Perhaps, but yes, this is about orders of magnitude. But still, about the NiceHash, I'd like to add that there is always a question about the optimization. If you have initially an architecture for crypto mining, if you have you always have a way to deliver your binaries. You have some approach to market building. We initially built our platform to be like multi-purpose, to work like an infrastructure. We initially have hyper-visor, we have like a Docker container, special means for it to be flexible for any kind of usage, and it's decentralized. NiceHash is a nice project. I've used it a number of times, but it is initially dedicated for the mining, and they will have to do some steps to make it universal. They will have to probably implement virtual machines. They will have to change the way they distribute binaries. Of course, this is a solid project, but I mean that they were initially optimized for the different thing, and they can just change a little bit and make it working as a for other like application types. This is a work to be done. So of course a lot of people will be doing the same thing, and there would be just like a race who will do it the first.
Is Alexey Antonov still our CFO? I know he's our co-founder.
Primarily, Alexey is the founder and co-founder of the project. Yeah. We have two co-founders at this moment, Sergey and Alexey. And his primary function is to be a co-founder, and as any founder, he is trying to find right people to do right things. So at this moment, we have new person in the face of the Oleg. So Oleg will be in charge for some things that Alexey was initially doing, but not all of them. So,
but for the financial part.
For the financial part, we have a dedicated officer for the financials. His name is Evgeny. I think Alexei is staying with us, at least as a co-founder, but he is like solving the conflicts. He has all answered that in the previous. He had an interviews and he said that his primary function is to solve conflicts and to find the right people. So this is what he is doing as a founder. And he has the right people. But
you're drawing a house with the
this
SONM logo instead of Windows.
This was not SONM logo.
But it looks like SONM logo.
You just use seeing SONM logos everywhere.
Probably, yeah. Okay, next question. How profitable will mining SONM be compared to Bitcoin and Ethereum?
What do you say, Alec, about our profitability?
Yeah.
Actually, the question is a little bit not correct, because SONM is not actually mined. It can be earned by providing resources to customers. It's not actually mining. And in terms of return of investments for equipment you can buy for Ethereum mining or SONM mining, there are a few points which can make SONM mining or farming, what is the right term, more profitable. The first, as already mentioned, using SONM you can utilize all the resources of your computer, not only GPU but CPU, memory, hard drive, all the resources. It was the first point. And the second point is expected lifetime of and expected time when your equipment will give you some revenue is more on SONM compared to Ethereum and Bitcoin, when your equipment will be out of date in maybe 1 or 2 years. In SONM you can use your computer for at least 5 years or even more.
And perhaps what I would like to add is that it's not really, Bitcoin and Ethereum mining is different. Ethereum mining is GPU mining, and there are a lot of coins with GPU, and Bitcoin, as we have previously mentioned, is ASIC mining. So it's not really fair to compare SONM earnings to Bitcoin mining, because you don't have that choice really. You either purchase hardware for the Bitcoin. Oh yeah, you have answered. This is a question of the return of investment. Yes, exactly. Okay.
Okay, but it's not correct in case of Bitcoin mining.
Bitcoin is different. If you have the hardware, you may compare SONM and Ethereum perhaps, but SONM will be just more flexible, as it was mentioned, but Bitcoin is just a completely different thing.
And also in SONM we really believe that real world tasks must give you more money compared to just calculating hashes of some cryptocurrency.
Because there are no more free hardware in this world, as I keep saying on every speech. Because after the crypto mining was invented, now any hardware can mine some coins. So there are no more free hardware. Sorry.
Okay, let's go forward. You have a reputation system to avoid or reduce frauds. But what will protect against embedded viruses, ransomware, or whatever code by supplier that gets not active immediately, and because of that, do not influence reputation firsthand? Could associative computing be helpful?
This is our favorite question about the privacy and security, which is the biggest problem and we're trying to solve. And as I again answer in every speech, that we have a stack of solutions here, a stack of workarounds. The typical workaround about privacy is that some projects don't care about this, but about security there are no such projects perhaps. So just one lesser workarounds. So first, we will have some suppliers that are trusted, like the excessive data center capacity and the companies that are trusted, and they just have the hardware without that viruses and ransomware. Because if you trust the typical cloud providers, you will trust the same companies in SONM, because this is essentially the same thing. If you trust a company using their website, searching them in the Google, so the same thing you will have in SONM. But still we will have some other suppliers which are personal users and ex-crypto miners, which are not that level of trust. So for that things, you still can handle the security things on the side of your applications. Like you may just check it with your application, you may deploy tasks on machines and compare the results. And this is the thing that we would like to solve when we will be doing platform as a service. So we will be doing a system that will be, it will make it possible in the future, in the second part of this year, to launch stateless tasks, and it will be possible to check the results. So we launch the single task on different machines and just then check by replication. But this would be the feature of the platform as a service when we will be with it. At this moment you may solve it on the application side, and again, as I told, we are working on the solution for the trusted platform using Intel's technologies, but this is still under research and working on the prototype. Yes, this is it.
But there will be some solution. Can SONM be used to mine cryptocurrencies later on? The question from anonymous person.
Yes?
Yes.
It can be, but SONM is a marketplace where you can purchase resources. You may go to Google and find out what are the prices for computing resources, for virtual machines or VDS on the typical cloud providers, and try to mine there. You will find out that the prices are at such a level that you cannot really earn something from the crypto mining, because crypto mining gives you lesser than cloud providers want to take from you, times lesser. In SONM it would be possible because it would be a market. You just try to put your price and rent resources and try to mine like in cloud mining.
Okay, thank you, Igor. If customers want to mine cryptos, will there be simple plug and play? It's a typo. Solutions where the customer basically just pays the fee and chooses which coin to mine. So, some special software with buttons.
You know, I think this question is a little bit more complicated than it was asked here. The person asks for the customers, but as a customer, this is different. Let's see it from the suppliers. You may contribute the hardware and you will earn the best price you may be offered on the SONM market. So for the supplier, this is really just a plug-and-play solution. I mean that you install SONM, which is not a plug-and-play. You will have to mess with the packages and the things, but when you will succeed with this, you will have a solution that will work like automatically and sell your resources for the best price. But from the customer's point of view, when we talk about crypto mining, we honestly think that this would be software bots racing for the resources. I don't think that there would be human persons like sitting behind the computer and trying to mine something, because this is not effective. Software bots will compete. To be effectively mining cryptocurrency on SONM, you'll have to constantly check websites like whattomine.com and just check the profitability, and then you must check the availability of the resources and instantly calculate what you can earn from this and what price should you offer to make a margin. So this is not something that people will be doing on their own, because okay, a person can do this manually, but he will do this once or a second time, but a bot will just do it better and faster. So this would be just a race of the bots, basically. So I don't think there would be customers like cloud customers in the general sense. There would be just racing bots from a few like persons or companies that wrote these bots. So I don't think there would be like some kind of customer experience from running cloud, because who would be that customer? If he is a supplier provider, this is fine.
Okay, thank you. What would you say is your biggest challenge at the moment as a project? Question from Ilinka Alexiuk.
I think
Twitter.
that, of course, we have some technical problems and like questions that we handle, but this is not really the biggest one. I think from my point of view, perhaps Oleg will have some different things to say, but I think the difficulty thing is the scaling thing, like to scale the team size and scale the company and the consistency maintained so that everyone is doing the same thing, because we have quite a big number of people at this moment and we need to make them doing the same thing, and what we do is a thing that changes over time and we need to effectively make everyone do the same thing. This is one of the biggest challenges, I think. What do you think?
Yeah, there are no existing best practices for fog computing based on blockchain. This is completely new area. This is completely new bleeding edge technology as well as business model. So we have to make everything from scratch, to invent something on our way, and to try something new all the time, and in order to find right solutions, right methods, and right technologies to execute, to make our product.
Yeah, basically not really technical things, because we still have big technical challenges like the privacy problem, but there are some like solutions that we foresee at least, so they can be solved. We just have to work on this. So the biggest challenges is to make it all working, the whole company working on the same goals. Yeah.
Okay, question from Paul, YouTube chat. Universities are in need of cost-effective supercomputer for their R&D. Have you considered press releases to university science departs and university newspapers target great minds in need of SONM? Are we negotiating with some universities to...
Yes, we do. They need us to launch this on the Live network. So we are waiting for this to happen in June. There are a lot of, I don't say a lot of, but there are some companies, including universities, that are waiting for us to use the SONM system, and we could take a few of them and make this working in the manual mode for the test network. But what we have run at this time, at this moment, it is satisfying. So we have rendering running, we have machine learning already running, we have a small number of real-world application tasks already tested on the SONM network. So at this moment we are confident that we just need to launch the Live network, because we cannot handle that in many numbers in the manual mode, I mean on the test network, because on the test network we cannot make instant free payments with real tokens. We need the Live network to be launched. If we could try to do it today in a few amount, but this will not really make any straight benefits today, any big benefits. Just need to focus all the efforts to launch the Live network at this moment. As we see, we have plenty of tests already done, and what we've seen is that we are doing the right thing. We just need to launch it as soon as possible, so we now have June as a deadline. This is it.
And about sending out our press releases, we did not try to send our press releases to universities. We were sending them to newspapers, tech newspapers, and this kind of stuff. But we will consider universities to do this. Next question.
We have a dedicated team of business development, and we have a dedicated marketing team with their content plan, with their methods to distribute the releases, and there are some news ahead that we currently working on, but this work is being done.
And we're still at a phase of explaining of what is SONM, what's technology is about, and this kind of stuff. Next question. In order to supply my hardware, do I need to have a static IP address as in the testnet? Not many people in the world have static IP.
We have addressed this particular problem in the new release. There would not be necessary to have a public IP because we have done some research with our new team members, relatively strong research about net penetration. Like, I mean that this is about like working without public IP addresses, just the way the Skype is working, the way BitTorrent is working. They are somehow solving this, and this somehow is called NAT penetration. NAT is essentially a technical word for firewalls, and we already have a prototype, and this is already working on 95% networks. Basically on all networks we have tested, with one exception, and this will be working in the June release without public IP addresses. There would be some internal magic for this to be working, just similar as it working in the Skype or any other peer-to-peer things. Still, this will be decentralized. We will provide some relay services for the people who have strong firewall setups. And even this will be essentially decentralized based on the SONM tasks. Like some computers will be able to contribute their network and their IP addresses to connect other computers.
Okay, thank you. I'm reading the chat. 31 people watching right now and so many questions. Thank you for watching us. How are you guys' plans regarding usability and user experience? Will it be possible to use a user-friendly GUI to set up the environment, offer computation power, or run services on the network?
Yes, we are working on the user experiments and graphical user interface, but this will be delivered step by step. First, we will deliver, as we already did, the wallet. In the June release, there would be things to work with the sidechain, like to deposit and withdraw. And there would be things to work to purchase resources. Things like selling resources and hub management will be a bit later.
Okay, thank you. Let's try to keep our...
Yes, we still have 3 pages. Let's go on.
Yes, yes. Do you guys at SONM think you will be capable of delivering an omni-channel experience marketing-wise, beginning with the consensus until the upcoming LiveNet release? What are your expectations, rebrand awareness, and your strategies enrolling from it? It's a question from Twitter. Jens Kruger. Hi, Jens.
Hello, Jens.
Thank you.
As we already mentioned, there are no existing best practices, even in marketing, for such projects. So we are now testing all possible marketing channels, all possible marketing methods. This is content marketing, advertising, social media, conferences, whatever. So our goal is to find the most profitable, the most suitable for us marketing channels, to utilize them when our project actually starts in LiveNet in summer.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Oleg. The second question from Jens. As I understand, SONM might have an early LiveNet release by June with reduced scope and subsequent releases during the summer. I assume this should lead to an increase in token demand. Or are your first bunch of customers already stuffed with SONM tokens? And it's actually, we have a series of questions on increasing demand on SONM tokens when the LiveNet releases.
The short answer is yes. The whole thing about crypto, the whole thing about June release, these all things are all about the increasing demand of SONM tokens. Everything is dedicated, you know. We will be running the hosting for the cryptocurrency project not because we particularly like to host cryptocurrencies projects, but because we can and because this will make a demand on the SONM market. And for the terms of demand, there is no difference whether it be cryptocurrencies or other real-world applications. There would be same thing of hosting something in SONM. So yes, this must and should increase the demand for SONM tokens in June, and perhaps even ahead of that. And if you ask if the customers already stuffed with SONM, it depends on who are the customers. For the crypto theme, the customers would be, as I mentioned, the software bots, and their developers will have to maintain the amount of SONM tokens that they will use there. So I don't think that they already have that amount of SONM tokens.
Okay, thank you, Igor. One of the key selling points of SONM is the cheaper price. It would be nice to see statistics on how SONM price could be compared to AWS, Azure, Google Cloud, etc. More statistics like latency in gaming scenarios could also be interesting.
Of course, we make such comparisons, but you actually shouldn't believe us. You can do all these calculations by yourself. You can just open any what to mine cryptocurrency calculator in one window and Amazon or Google Cloud Platform list price in another window and try to compare almost the same GPU list price and profitability when you mine some cryptocurrency. You will see a difference in about 5 to 10 times, depends on the equipment. So this is our price difference.
Okay. What will be the best solution for me? Connect HDD straight to storage node or to SONM node? Question from Anonymous.
What do you think? You know, I think that renting out HDD to storage is not only about HDD, it's also, you cannot just rent HDD, you'll have to plug it to a PC and essentially share some time on the computing power of the PC. Because just to rent it to storage, you'll have to install some with their client, and this is the same for SIACoin or any other project. So this is not about only HDD, this is about computer as well. And we are talking generally about the computer, as you may imagine, with HDD plugged in. So in this case, what points do we have here? If you rent it manually to storage, you'll have some profitability. If you install SONM and rent the hardware and you HDD to SONM, one of the possible customers that will purchase your capacity would be bots trying to sell it out to storage and make an arbitrage of this, perhaps with a margin or without it. But still there would be a bot trying to do the same thing for SIACoin and any other storing project, because storage is not the only one. There are others competing for the price. And there could be some real-world applications in SONM that still may use your HDD. And there is also a thing about the term, about the duration of the contract you have in storage, in SIACoin or any other. Perhaps Oleg would like to add here.
I completely agree with Igor. You can't just connect HDD without RAM, CPU, and so on and so forth. And using SONM, you can utilize your computer, your resources more, because you can not only lease this HDD, but also CPU, RAM, and other components of your hardware.
Yeah, and the customers will compete, because if you do it manually, you have to manually choose where to rent your HDD. But if you use SONM, it will be done automatically for you for the best price. And if the best price is storage, then be it. Then you will have the same amount. But you will always have at least the same as with storage, because this would be one of the options, not fewer than.
And there is still questions about the difference between Golem and SONM.
The short answer is that these Golem and SONM are systems of a different class. Like SONM is an infrastructure as a service system, and it may host other projects, particularly like Golem. And Golem is an application platform to host grid-based applications, which are applications that can effectively do like computing in the parallel. This is a special application architecture, and they are effective for some applications. In Golem, at least at the level as I've checked them a couple of months ago, you cannot directly rent the hardware. You cannot rent an instance. This is a different payment model. In SONM, what you have in SONM, you come in SONM and you rent an instance. An instance is some kind of hardware, and this is a time term. You say, I would like 2 cores, 2 gigabytes of memory for a week. This is an instance like in the cloud. But in Golem and in the similar projects, you pay per execution unit. Like you say, I have a rendering task, and I'm willing to pay some amount of tokens if this task would be executed. So you don't pay for the instance, you don't have an instance, you have a task. And the difference is that infrastructure as a service is capable of hosting different projects without seriously changing the architecture. You will have still to change the architecture to handle the privacy and that kind of things indeed. But you don't have to rewrite it completely to use a grid-based model. So I think that SONM is a more universal thing, but Golem is a more dedicated thing, and for that dedicated applications, Golem will have an edge because the grid computational model has some benefits because it may handle parallelized executions out of the box, but you have to write your application for that thing. SONM is a universal hosting platform for cryptocurrency projects or for real applications. So just different types of applications, like like a car for general roads and the ski mobile. Ski mobile would be faster on the snow, but it can't ride the general roads. So this is just different. I think we have enough space for both projects.
Tom, thank you for your question. Each time Igor answers this question, I discover more and more things. It's like each time you find some more new arguments to...
there is a joke that you were explaining something to people and explain, and then you finally understood what you are explaining. I think this is what is happening with me here.
And there is huge difference between SONM and Golem. Can you speak about the biggest advantages SONM could, biggest advantages of SONM and cloud, or would have over AWS? Okay.
Amazon Web Services.
It's not clear for me. Can you explain?
Yeah, it's clear.
Yeah, perhaps the main advantages are price, potentially unlimited resources supply, and global spread of resources in fog computing. Because even Amazon and Google and Microsoft, they have limited number of data centers. In SONM, we have almost unlimited number of locations for our resources.
What is your strategy in respect to different latencies and speeds of the nodes? Do you plan to offer multiple tariff plans depending on what type of application the customer would like to run? Actually, we have the same question in Slido, and it sounds just like this.
The general answer for this general question is that this is the application side. I mean, in SONM, we consolidate the hardware that we can from the suppliers, from the data centers, from the personal users, from the companies, and from the crypto miners, and we just offer on the market what we have. The computers have their characteristics like the CPUs, the memories, and particularly the network characteristics like the latency or the throughput capacity. And it may be possible for the customer to purchase what he needs. If he requires some really low latency and really big throughput, he just needs to look for resources with that kind of parameters available. And that would not be all the resources, because most of the personal hardware, of course, cannot provide really low latency and really narrow bandwidth, but some will from the data centers. So all these attributes are available on the market for you to choose from, and you must do and handle this on your application side. So some platform on its own is not handling latency. It just provides you, it's a marketplace to buy resources. So if you need high latency, just use some network to use this marketplace to buy resources from data centers or from companies connected directly to tier 1 providers or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the next question from JC. Will there be a hardware rating system on the platform? We will have rating system
Yes.
for users.
There would be a rating system generally, not about especially hardware. This works as the following. The rating reflects the probability of your peer, of your counterparty, to violate the terms of the deal. Like, what is the deal? A deal is that a person says, I am providing you this number of resources, network, CPU, disks, whatever. And if he handles this agreement, then he is fine. So the rating is about will your counterparty or it won't handle the agreement. And this will be managed by the rating system, by the spot checks, and by some other mechanics that will make this probability like trustworthy. So the rating system is not about the hardware, it's about people running this hardware. How trusted are they? How reliable are those people? Will they do what they promised?
Skyfall writes that your marketplace bot is Skynet.
Not him particular. It's like Skynet's like helper, because Skynet is doing some important tasks on the strategy, but he has some helpers just to help him buy resources for its own working.
Skynet can be built on top of
yes,
SONM, perhaps.
So is it in our plans?
Skynet is, no, it's as we say, it's
third party,
it's an application side.
Okay, let's go back to Slido questions. As you know, there are some multi-algo switching software, but they can produce crashes of GPUs, drivers, settings, etc. Will it be somehow possible to make systems stable after switching from one algo to another, or from mining to rendering, and so on? Or you will rewrite mining software?
Yes.
Short, and that's it?
Yeah, I may say more like yes, because
Yes, please.
the typical situations is that you have a host system, like you have an operating system directly installed on the hardware, and the algo switching may download binaries and download new drivers and somehow update your system, and this will reflect the stability. But in our case, we use virtualization layer. Currently, this is Docker. This is not purely as a virtualization, but nevertheless, it is an isolation of the software. So in our case, you install SONM network as a solid piece of software on your host machine, and every task running on your computer as a rented resource is running in an isolation. So any application may bring its own algorithms or software or whatever, and it will be isolated from changing anything on the host system. So you first install host, you install drivers, you install everything, and then it works stable.
Okay, thank you. Is it a problem task synchronization among different speed connection computers? How are you solving it? And we already had this kind of question.
Can you guess the answer? This is the application side, right?
Yes, it's application, yeah.
I mean, task synchronization is not a thing that is required by everything, but some, perhaps many applications may need synchronization if they're running on different computers. But in any case, this kind of synchronization is specific to each application. So each application must be doing its own synchronization, which is essentially an application side. SONM just provides raw machines where it may be run.
Okay, here in YouTube chat we have a question about Kubernetes, and we have the same question in my list.
We have such one.
Okay, are there any plans for tasks which require clusters to scale and increase their reliability? Will you support Kubernetes or Docker Swarm? Will it be possible to run containers on different nodes and distributed across the globe for international services?
Okay, let's start one by one.
It's 3 questions.
Yes. First, about cluster scale, reliability, increase, and that words, and everything mentioned is again the application side. As I mentioned, SONM is providing resources, and it may be used differently. It may be used by a single resource, or a cluster may be built on top of SONM. But anyway, this is the work which must be done by some people outside of the SONM platform. Like, imagine you're a DevOps and you would like to build a cluster. SONM provides you resources like typical cloud provider. Just SONM is some kind of non-usual cloud provider because the infrastructure as a service is in some features this is different, but still you managed it on your side. So next, about the Kubernetes and Docker Swarm. Our understanding at this moment is that Kubernetes is a little bit superior in terms of like the adoption of the companies around it. And I've visited a conference in Santa Clara which was essentially about Kubernetes and containers, and I've seen so many companies running products for Kubernetes that I am now really inspired by this product, and I believe that Kubernetes is essential thing to integrate with, and we will do this. So we currently have research to integrate Kubernetes with SONM. This will be possibly done in different ways, and we are currently researching all of them. One of the ways is that when you purchase a resource in SONM, this is basically an instance, and we would like to make it possible for this instance to be pluggable to your existing Kubernetes cluster as a kubelet. So imagine you run an existing cluster and handle web application or whatever there, and you have some peak loads and you have some common loads, and at some point you would like to add some resources to your Kubernetes cluster just to scale, and we would like SONM to be compatible to provide you a kubelet or a number of kubelets to your cluster. The second option is that we would like to support hosting the whole Kubernetes cluster completely in SONM, like with replication, with etcd, and with that kind of things. And the third option is that we are estimating whether this is possible, like to currently we use our own something, not an orchestration software, but something made our own on the hubs and workers to work like for internal work, and we are estimating to use Kubernetes for internal usage in SONM. So first two options was the opportunity to host Kubernetes on top of SONM, and the second option is that to make SONM working on top of Kubernetes. So different approaches. Both are currently estimated, and I think we will be developing them in summer or in the second part of this year after we launch crypto.IaaS. And what about containers, different nodes? This is again the application side. We just provide the instances, and you may run it globally or locally or whatever the way you like.
So at the level of crypto.IaaS, it's on you.
Currently, it works the following: you have an instance, and when you have an instance, you have a SONM application, and it provides you an API. In some small degree, similar to what Docker is doing. You just have an API to deploy container, to start or stop it, or to retrieve the logs. So, but this currently use our own like command set in this API. But we would like this to be compatible with Kubernetes, and this research is under work.
And the question about API from WorkUNX. Am I spelling it right? Okay, as I understood, you have an API for developers to build on. But will you also make some examples of your LiveNet that shows the power of the platform? For example, convert a video.
Yeah, sure.
A showcase.
Yes, we have already done this. We were writing articles about. We've already launched like real-world rendering using Redshift and using Deadline plugin for IDEs that are used to 3D model. So we have some branch of development dedicated for practical applications, rendering, machine learning, and some other things. And we have already done some examples, which are currently like disclosed in our blog posts. So you may just read about what we have done so far. And some things are currently under work. So yes, we are doing some examples of how it works. And we have a documentation portal regarding our API, so you may just learn from there. And we intend to provide more examples by the time comes in summer.
Okay, thank you, Igor. Also, the same user asks, also how can SONM run website servers when MySQL and databases are writing so often? I don't see a split SQL database file writing to many nodes around the world.
Okay, if you would like to host a website, This is complicated. There are different ways to do a website. There is a typical approach, like when you have a MySQL database and you have an Apache or an Nginx application server, or perhaps you have some static content. For static content, this is simple, of course, but we are talking about the dynamic content. The typical architecture that you have an application server and a database, and you may host this on one node or may host it on two nodes. You may do this directly on SONM. You may purchase an instance in SONM and deploy your database server and your application servers there. You may use different servers for these different hosts, or use one host, whatever you like. But this would be the question about how handy it would be, how usable it would be, because for some resources in SONM, there would be some lack of API addresses because this is a private computers at home. Some will have, but some won't. And there would be some conflicts, like to get you the ports you want, like if you would like to get the port number 80 or port number 443 just to host HTTPS. This is a little bit not so useful as you're using it in the cloud indeed. But still, this is technically usable. You may host your website, you will have an IP address, perhaps some port, not perhaps the 80s port, but some other ports. But if you would like to do this effectively, if you would like to make the full use of SONM, because SONM is a distributed set of resources which have lower price, perhaps some platform must be used on top of SONM. And there are some platforms that are currently development, platforms to host websites, like Substratum or other projects that are dedicated to host websites with different type of content. And SONM may host such a platform, and then you may use this platform to host your particular website. So some layer on top of SONM may be used here.
Perhaps we should mention some decentralized databases like CockroachDB, Cassandra.
Yeah, indeed. The database you mentioned, the MySQL, is not really the only option. There are different things. And the website setup you mentioned, like a single database and single like application server, perhaps this is not the ideal setup that SONM will be the best solution for. The best setup that we are talking is big websites which have distinct roles. They have some servers serving the static content, they have some servers like with microservices. So we're talking about big websites, big internet shops, or big something where you have different nodes and you may offload something from your cloud to SONM. So when we talk about web hosting, we mainly mean microservices and big projects.
If you don't understand most of the things that this man is talking about, subscribe on our channel and Igor will teach you.
No, I mean that the person who asked, he knows SQL, so everything
Yes,
I told
yes.
is fine for him.
Yeah, question from Inventor Group user. Which computer language will developers use to create SONM? Or I don't know, it's not
SONM
finished.
internally is a platform used with many languages like Solidity or Golang, but this has no relation to what languages you may use to use SONM, because SONM is a platform where you may run Docker containers or eventually different virtual machines, and you may use any kind of language to write like the payload, the application for that container, so that virtual machines. So this is not relevant what language is using in SONM internally, because this is not something you are limited to. You may use any language which can be run on Linux and Docker.
Okay, and the next question. Are there plans to provide tested and optimized images for SONM on Docker Hub, or a similar platform to easier use and reuse, or maybe even platform where the community could upload some images and rate the images?
At this particular moment, the SONM itself as a solution for the supplier is running directly on the host. It's not running inside container, but he runs containers on his own. So SONM is basically a solution to run containers, but itself it hosts directly on the operating system. So currently our distribution package is deb packages or binary, so you may compile it yourself. So, but eventually we don't see any problems to host SONM inside container as well, but at some later stages, this is not the most important thing at this moment. I think that what we have now is deb packages, they are really very useful and not bad. Like, of course, containers would be a little bit handy because they're completely packaged, but Debian is fine as well.
Okay, let's go. We ran out of our technical questions from the list, and now we have a section.
Another one that I missed.
Ah, this one. Yeah,
Yes, this
I
one.
missed it because it's too complicated.
Okay, we have a question
okay,
from Paulus from
Let
Lithuania.
me read it,
Yeah,
please. And a question would be about evaluated value of SONM token. For example, price to request render 10 minutes Full HD HEVC video. How much it will cost? 2 SNM or 500 SNM? Any ideas on this?
Yeah, there are some ideas about this. How this works, I will tell you how this is working. We are currently having talks with a company that is doing like special effects for movies, and we learn from them how do they do their rendering things, how do they solve this. And this is how it is working. They develop a 3D skin, and then they use some rendering software to do the job, and they use some software to dispatch this on their own rendering farms and to other outside rendering farms, and using Google and AWS and anything to gain additional resources. And to estimate how long will it take to render 10 minutes of any kind of 3D video, you basically, what do you have to do? 10 minutes is 10 by 60 seconds, and the seconds is 60 frames, so this is really a lot of frames, and rendering is done frame by frame. And to estimate each frame, you have to understand the skin itself. How many polygons are there? 1 million polygons or 10,000 polygons? I mean that just an information that we have 10 minutes of some kind of video is essentially not enough to estimate the time and resources. To estimate, we need the full skin, and we need the software estimations. So generally these estimations are done based on the experience. I mean, you have a 3D skin and you never render this, so you can't estimate how long it will take. It's just impossible until you launch this. But then you launch it and you see that 1, 2, 3 frames were rendered, let's say, in 10 seconds. Then you may just make an extrapolation and see that if 3 frames are taken 10 seconds, perhaps you may now be able to estimate the full length. But still, this is just a very raw estimation, because each frame may have different skin and different number of polygons, and that means that the ray tracer will be doing the different job, and it will take longer or shorter time. So the general answer is that even the 3D rendering software cannot estimate the difficulty of the workload, and you may just try it and do it. This is not possible. And again, this is the application side. And how people are doing this, I will tell you. They just launch the rendering, and they see that the first 1% is taking 1 hour, and then they understand that they must either stop it because this will never end, or they may need to add additional resources to this thing. And how are we going to plug our system here? I told you previously that we tried this with a Deadline plugin. Deadline plugin is exactly that software that is handling the scheduling of the rendering. So I mean, you have a software where you have the 3D model. So you have the house, you have people working around, and you want to make this as a video. You use Deadline to schedule this, to schedule one frame to one computer, another frame to another computer. And the Deadline itself, or similar projects like, don't remember their names, just doesn't matter. They are able to add resources on the go. So you have a running renderer in the Deadline, and you may plug in additional computers there. And we have developed a plugin to this Deadline, so you may purchase additional resources from SONM. So you see that your rendering is going on, it takes too long, you need additional resources, and you push a button, just get me more resources from SONM, and you just have the resources, and you speed up the rendering. And you see that, oh, I've got additional resources, and it twice speed my rendering up. Okay, this is fine, I made more. So this is how it is working, we can't estimate this. So all that companies, they just have the final bill, and this is it.
Okay, thank you, Igor. And okay, we ran out of technical
Yes.
questions, and we have a legal section. Let's go back here later. But the legal session is about governments worldwide are beginning to regulate crypto assets. Is SONM making any decisions based on these developments? And the second part of the question, can members of Open Folk offer guidance?
I'm not sure members of Open Folk can offer any guidance, because Open Folk is about general folk computing with no connection to blockchain or cryptocurrencies, the same as Open Data Center Alliance or any other such organization. As for government regulations, of course, our legal team is researching all these issues and following all the news. But frankly speaking, our ICO is in past. We have no plans to issue additional tokens or change tokens in future. We're just developing free open source software bound to SONM tokens. And this is the only and the main idea of our project. So currently we see no risks from such regulations, and no additional decisions are made based on these researches and news.
Okay, thank you.
We are just a software development company, and our only thing that we care about is to make use of the SONM token, not to issue it again.
Yeah, and my job to tell you about the process inside the development team and this kind of information. Okay, will SONM holder get voting rights for some decisions at some point? What is your general opinion about it? How to develop rules?
I think the most essential idea is that we keep the utility status of the token. If the voting for the token holders would help to maintain the utility status, then it is a usable thing to do. If it will break the utility token status, then this is not something we would like to do. I think this is the most important decision point here. This is it.
Okay. When will we get some t-shirts and stickers? And I suppose this is a question about our giveaway action. And we will send out all the t-shirts by the end of March. So you should expect it in April. And we actually have made a new sticker. So you probably can see one here, and it looks much better now.
Yeah, and
sticker. Yeah,
you can see the
thin.
camera. It's thick.
Thick.
Thick. Yes.
Yeah. And it's expensive. Yeah. New design. New stuff is always expensive. Okay, let's go.
Should you tell about how we care to keep the SONM token with our software?
Where is it?
I think there were some.
Could you please describe how SONM token is bound to our software? How is it connected?
Yeah, I can. I mean that, as we previously mentioned, we are just, you have to understand that SONM is just a software development. We are doing software and giving it for free as an open source. The only thing bounding the use of the software is that SONM token is deeply integrated with the software, and there would be thing in the license agreement that you must use SONM token with whatever use case you use this platform for. Still, this is open source. So the only thing that we currently efforts and care about is to make SONM deeply integrated, SONM token deeply integrated with this software. But the software is free to use. You just have to buy SONM token to use with this product.
Can you clarify why you didn't get listed on Bittrex last year?
Because this is not something we can control. There was one promise done to list there, but it turned out that we can't really control this. The thing that we can't. We can do the product, we can do some marketing, but to list there is a question of the exchange itself. This is not something we can just go to the shop and just buy a listing feature. It's not sold this way.
Yeah, and the listing procedure on Bittrex is free, so it's not the matter of money. Like I pay you this and you list. No, they have some requirements and they decide.
There was some belief that if we do some steps that we already did, that would be enough. But it turned out that due to the situation changing, and the situation changed since we have already 1 year passed since the ICO. The situation has changed. The rules of adding new coins, they heavily changed, and the steps that were previously enough to be listed there, they are now not enough. So we would like to do that, but the steps that are required to be done are not controlled by us at this point. Still, when we will release new product and we will raise in the volume on the exchanges, perhaps that may be changed in the June.
Timo asking us, when will be announced how many tokens will you need to become a masternode?
The mistake in this question is that we will have masternodes, because we did not make the decision yet. We did not promise there would be masternodes at this moment. All things we have is we have a side chain, and this is currently handled by the dedicated proof of authority nodes. And as I covered in the article, we have an article about this, about the sidechain. Just read the ending of the article about our plans to do or not to do the masternodes and what we estimate. Just read the article in the blog, please.
Any progress on sidechain? Any decision made for staking masternode?
Again, this is covered in our article. No new information since that point. Currently, the sidechain is established, it's already running, and we are deploying our smart contracts on the sidechain, but it's not yet made public, and it will be public in June. Like, we will just provide the nodes addresses and tell how to use it and make our software publicly running with it. So currently this is running, but just read the blog article, please.
Sorry, thank you. Okay. Okay, we will post the link to that article in our chat. After we finish this session, I will do it personally. Okay, let's go. We have few questions. What about weekly update videos? What are the marketing plans besides obtaining partnerships and going to sponsoring conferences? Are there any concrete plans to be published? Okay, about sponsoring conferences, we will cover all the events with translations from in Instagram. We will make live sessions from conferences. We will provide you photos and reports. Probably some of them you will find in monthly report. It's really convenient way to tell you a story. If something happened, we will tell you a story in monthly reports. About weekly update videos, I'm not sure that I'm getting this question properly. What kind of update videos?
Let's discuss it. Let's just discuss. You know, at this point of time, what we already have, we have monthly reports, which are generally issued on the first days of the new month, and we have already done this in March. And we have a Q&A session, which is also monthly, and which is done generally somewhere in the middle of the month. So basically, what we already have is something once per 2 weeks. Either monthly report, either Q&A session, which is essentially about everything. So we already have 2 events per month, once per 2 weeks. So the question is about make it each week. And my personal opinion here is that most processes that we have and most tasks that we solve, they are not like weekly timed. They are at the scale of the month. So if we had to report each week, then we will have to report like partly done things, and this will not be handy at all. So, and the second thing that I think about is that what are the purposes of the weekly videos? I think that we are really quite open. We always answer in the chats every day if you ask. You may ask me directly there, or ask Oleg or anyone. And we have twice per month these kind of events to share what we are doing. Why each week? And my only understanding for why this may be essential is playing with the token price. And definitely this is not something that we encourage. So just tell us reasons to do weekly reports, and that reason must not be the playing with the token price, because all the critical things will be covered monthly base, either in the Q&A or either in the monthly report. Just give us the reasons.
So we're trying to honestly deliver any news that we have, and of course we can do some empty weekly updates with nothing inside. But what will it give to the community? I'm not sure that it's something not connected with token price. Okay.
There's a question about how we relax after work. How do you, Vitaly, relax after work? Do you have a time to relax?
Not really.
Yeah, this is mainly because when Vitaly wants to write an article together, I'm generally busy and we have to do it in the evenings, and then Vitaly doesn't have the time to relax, and neither do I. But
we're working hard, actually.
You know, the only sacred things, the only holy thing that is left still with us is the weekends. You know, this is the only holy thing that is left with us. We try not to work on the weekends.
But sometimes
because we use telegrams for chats, and this is always like making noise,
yeah.
And but still we try our best not to work on the weekends. But the work days are generally busy from the beginning.
Yeah, so you always can ask your question in Telegram and we will answer it. Somehow the support team will pass it to Igor or somebody else in a team. So
basically have a lot of people to ask anything, or to answer.
Yeah.
And yes, I play games. I used to play a lot of games in the past when I had more time on the previous jobs, or when I was at the university. I was really a lot of playing games in the World of Warcraft and a lot of things, but this is in the past because I don't have any time now. So currently my game is the life itself, and I need to do this. Just don't have more time.
And the job.
There is a new game like PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds, so I did not have plenty of time playing with it, so only a few attempts at this moment.
Yeah, and I do snowboarding at the weekends.
Perhaps we should look through the questions and maybe we skip something.
We should round up the. Okay, will SONM ever put up videos on the network being used on their YouTube channel? If you mean, it's a question from Ali Hayes from Twitter, and if you mean the videos about how SONM works, of course we are preparing some series of videos how it works. But if you mean some live sessions from our office with developers testing our software, we of course can show you this, but I'm not sure it will be interesting. For in further development, if we will have some showcases that is good to show on video, of course we will do this.
And by the way, there are existing videos like to start using SONM. There are already some videos that are provided by the community members. And by the time we will launch our product in June, we will of course make some efforts to make more of these videos, not only text like description.
Okay, let's go check our lists. Are you guys willing to speak at a developer conference in Belgium? Glenn Boston asked this. I've seen the schedule of our conferences, and I'm not sure
Which
The-
one conference?
Belgium developer
definitely.
conference.
I've also seen the conference lineup, and looks like there is no at this moment any conference in Belgium at this moment. Perhaps if you are inviting us to visit this conference, we need to understand what is the topic of this conference, how many people will attend it. So current understanding is that we visit only cloud conference or blockchain conferences, and that must be top conferences. We don't visit everything. We just don't have enough people and time to visit everything. So we need to understand what is it about, how many people will attend this, what are the options to go there. We have a special person, Valeria, working with the conferences. Perhaps you must talk with her.
Okay, if you guys are in Southern California soon, hit me up. Paul wants to meet.
We were
with
in the California.
Yeah, in Santa Clara.
Just 2 or 3 weeks ago.
And by the way, can you give us an update about Rust conference in Rust, Germany?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, basically we just arrived from the conference. The whole previous week we spent at the conference. We were working at the conference itself, and we were working with the product development remotely with our team, so it was really a busy week. Yeah, it was a great conference for the cloud technologies, and there were major players there, including Intel and AMD from the CPU. There were major hardware vendors like Dell, Hewlett-Packard, Lenovo, and Gigabyte, and all of them. And there were a lot of companies doing cloud services and other things. And we were trying to present what we do for the customers as a thing compared to cloud services. And what we've seen there, we estimated it was a successful approach. Everything that we present there was met with interest by people. We had a couple of speeches there. I think it was interesting. We've got a lot of contacts with major companies which we will work on. I won't disclose the exact details, but when we will have something to disclose, this will be done. We have a lot of updates to our understanding of the cloud technologies. We visited this conference with all the major people from the development, so they had their own eye on what's going on. And so, it is important to understand what we are doing, what is the market itself in the cloud. So this was a major update to our vision as well. So in many senses, this was useful. And we plan to attend such conferences in the future, but the most important point is June, when we will release the LiveNet, so we will attend such conferences with already our product running in LiveNet. So this is very essential to make new contacts and new meetings, new partnerships.
Thank you, Igor. The question from YouTube chat, it was some time ago, but we found it. It's about Firegate on the marketplace like PayPal. Do we have some plans to implement such thing?
We see actual demand for such service. Our legal team is currently researching possibilities to implement this service from our side, but currently we have no good solution for this. But since our platform is free open source software and SONM token is freely available on market, perhaps anybody can establish such service, and we will welcome such service as a third-party application which can be connected to our marketplace.
Yeah, we may even probably promote them. I mean that this may either be done by us ourselves, but this will require some legal efforts and other kind of efforts that we perhaps not the best at that efforts. So we are good developers in the software, but legal is something we have to develop as well. But if someone will establish, as Alec mentioned, this is open for anyone. If someone would like to make a margin out of this to provide some services for fiat currencies, just go on. And if you've done it the right way, we may even promote you. I mean that cover with marketing, if that would be done in the nice way. So this is open for anyone.
Yeah, the team is always open for any incoming help.
Not even help.
And
This,
any third-party services.
yeah, yes, we are doing the platform which may be used by others to develop their own businesses. It may not be your help. This may be your business. If you understand how to accept cryptocurrency and fiat and work with in both directions, just make it as your business. You may make profit out of this.
Okay, the last question from my list from Glenn Boston. Why is the business overview and white paper being removed from the website? Why? Where?
Actually, we're currently updating our white paper. So new version, updated version will be released in about a month. Previous version, as far as I remember, was unchanged from the ICO time.
Yes.
So our vision changed from this time, and the situation changed from this time. So we have to update this white paper and release a new one.
By the way, this is the third roadmap version. So the product vision is constantly updating because we initially stated saying that we are a supercomputer. Now we understand what we are doing as an infrastructure as a service, as a fog computing, and the papers were really heavily outdated of what we do. They just confuse people.
So the things such crypto,
But
EOS, and
They're not
pass.
described there at all.
So,
But
yes.
you know, at least that white papers, they made a good job confusing our competitors.
Yeah.
Because people were just reading our white papers first, they didn't understand what's going on at all, and they had a completely different understanding of what's going on at this moment. So perhaps this was a good work done.
Even in terms of technologies we use,
Even
all
in
this
terms of
BTC Inc, Yandex.kk, and
Yes.
so on.
Yeah. So to
Great
to
disinformation.
know what we're doing, you have to follow all the content we have released for last half a year.
We don't say that this is a perfect theme, but we have a documentation portal like docs.sonm.com.
Yes,
This is
it's an actual one.
This is the most relevant documentation at the moment. If you would like to get a technical understanding or a product understanding of SONM, just read the docs. It's as easy as that. And when we update and do something new in June, we will just update the docs. So this is the right form of getting the information about SONM. Just read the docs. This is it.
Okay, how is it possible this project is flying under a lot of people's investors' radar?
We don't know. We just spread the word about
Bad
SONM.
marketing?
Right? No, the situation is changing. We attended 2 major conferences for the last month, and they were the Container World in the Santa Clara in California, and it was the Cloud Fest in Germany in Rust, how they say. And those both were major in terms of the spread the word about SONM, and to spread it not in the blockchain community, but in the community of people who are in the infrastructure, information technologies, where our possible customers may be. So we are spreading the word about this.
Consider this as an opportunity to buy more tokens while it's cheap.
Yeah, this is your chance, definitely.
Yeah. So it looks like we ran out of questions. No more questions. Okay, guys. Thank you for your questions. Thank you, Paul. Thank you all, guys, for watching us. Please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe on our channel so you don't miss any new videos that we are planning to release in the future. Thank you for watching us. Goodbye.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Bye.